welcome to today's deep dive. If you are an English learner and you want to improve your daily communication, you are in the exact right place.
Yeah, we are so glad you are here. And just so you know, we are keeping things clear and simple today. So if your English is around an A2 or B1 level, this is built perfectly for you.
Right. We're using simple vocabulary and a relaxed speed because our mission today is to give you practical tools you can actually use.
Exactly. And the topic from today's sources is, well, it's a really powerful idea. It's called the 80% rule.
Yeah, the 80% rule, basically why good enough English is actually much better than perfect English.
It sounds a bit backwards, right? But it changes everything.
It really does. So let me ask you, the listener, a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever stand in front of someone and they ask you something in English and you just freeze?
Oh, that feeling. Time just stops.
Right. You search your brain. You are looking for that one specific, perfect word. And while you search, the silence just grows.
And the pressure gets so heavy, you feel like you just cannot speak until you have the exact right sentence built in your head.
Yes, exactly. Today, we're looking at why trying to be 100% perfect is, well, it's actually the biggest thing stopping you from speaking.
The sources call this problem the perfect trap. And it is a very common mindset for learners.
The perfect trap. I mean, it's when you believe you have to wait until your grammar is completely correct before you even open your mouth.
Right. You think perfection is like the ticket you have to buy to enter a conversation.
But waiting for perfection does something terrible to you. It causes a real physical reaction.
It does. When you worry about making a mistake, your body feels it. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing gets shallow.
Yeah, you get stressed. Your body's just reacting to the fear of being judged by the other person.
And that physical stress leads to a mental block. The notes call this a brain freeze.
A brain freeze. I love that description. It's like, think of your brain's working memory like a small desk.
Oh, yeah, that's a great way to picture it. It's a very small desk.
Right. And if you cover that small desk with grammar rules and mental dictionaries and all this anxiety about making a mistake, the desk is completely full.
There is no room left to actually find the words you want to say.
Exactly. The system just crashes. It's like when you open too many programs on your computer at the exact same time.
The screen freezes, the mouse won't move.
Yeah, you can't do anything. That is what happens to your mind in the perfect trap. You are just trying to do too much work all at once.
And the result of that brain freeze is silence. You just stand there and you say nothing.
Okay, so I understand why the brain freezes, but I have to push back a little bit here.
Okay, go for it.
Because, we spend years in school studying these rules. We take big tests on verb tenses and spelling.
That's true.
So isn't getting the grammar right the whole point of learning a language? I mean, how can we just ignore the rules?
It is entirely normal to feel that way. I mean, schools grade you on being perfectly accurate.
Right, they use a red pen for every little mistake.
Exactly. But outside of the classroom, out in the real world, we have to change our focus. We have to shift from rules to results.
Shift from rules to results. What does that actually mean when I'm talking to someone?
Well, think about it. The true goal of using a language is human connection. It's just moving an idea from your head into someone else's head.
Okay, so the goal is connection, not perfection.
Right. If you stay in the perfect trap waiting for perfect grammar, the result is silence. And silence is 0% communication.
Wow, yeah. Silence is the exact opposite of connection.
So if trying to be 100% perfect gives you 0% communication, we need a different target.
And that target is the 80% rule from our sources.
Exactly. Think of 80% as a passing grade in the real world.
So what does 80% actually look like?
In a real conversation, it means this. If the other person understands your main idea, you win. The communication is a success.
Let's use a concrete example from the text to really show this. Imagine you are telling a friend about your weekend, and you say, "Yesterday I go to shop."
Right. Now, a traditional teacher would mark that wrong immediately.
Because the action happened in the past, right?
Yes. So the grammar rule says the verb go should be in the past tense, which is went.
But let's step outside the classroom. If I am talking to you and I say, "Yesterday I go to shop," what do you actually hear?
I hear the two most important pieces of information. I know you went to the store. And I know it happened in the past.
Because of the word yesterday.
Exactly. The word yesterday already does the job of telling you when it happened. The verb tense is just extra information.
That makes so much sense. So as a native speaker, you aren't grading my sentence.
Not at all. I am just listening for the meaning. The message was received. That is 80% accuracy, and it is a total success.
But here's a big worry for a lot of learners. If I use the wrong verb tense, Won't people think I'm, well, not smart?
That is a huge fear.
Yeah, people worry that small mistakes make them look foolish.
The notes from our sources address this fear directly, actually. Native speakers usually do not even notice those small errors.
Really? They don't notice.
Think about how you listen to a beginner speaking your own native language. You don't judge their intelligence based on one wrong verb, right?
Oh, definitely not.
Oh.
I respect the effort they are making. It's hard to learn a language.
Exactly. You just care about their story. You are happy they are trying to connect with you.
So native speakers of English feel the exact same way. They just want to understand your message.
Right. They are focusing on the meaning, not the rules.
Okay, so understanding that 80% is the goal is a great first step. But it's hard to stay relaxed when you suddenly forget a word in the middle of a sentence.
Oh, that panic is very real. We need practical ways to handle that moment.
Yes, and the materials give us some great survival tools for this exact situation.
Tools to keep you in that relaxed 80% zone.
Right, to keep the conversation moving when you hit a wall. The first tool they mention is learning survival phrases,
Survival phrases are just short, simple sentences that you memorize perfectly.
like having them ready in your back pocket.
Exactly. They buy you time, and they help you ask for help without feeling embarrassed.
A basic one, which is so useful, is just asking, how do you say this in English?
Yes, you can just point to an object and ask them for the word.
Or what if the other person uses a big, complex word you don't know?
Then you use another survival phrase. You just say, what does that mean?
I love that. Because asking, what does that mean, changes the whole dynamic.
It really does. Instead of hiding your confusion and letting your brain freeze, you are inviting them to help you.
You stay engaged in the interaction. You don't shut down.
Right. Another really good phrase is asking them to slow down. Like, can you say that again slowly, please?
Because native speakers talk so fast sometimes.
They really do. And asking them to slow down shows you are paying attention. It keeps the dialogue alive.
Okay, what about this situation? You know exactly what you want to say, but the specific noun is just gone from your memory.
Oh, like you are looking right at the object, but the dictionary word just vanishes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually used a technique for this by accident last week.
Oh, really? What happened?
Well, I completely forgot the word for wallet. I was standing at a store trying to pay, and my mind just went totally blank.
That is the worst timing. So what did you say?
I just called it the small house for my money.
That is brilliant. That is a perfect example of what the sources call the workaround technique.
It sounded a little silly to me, but the cashier smiled and understood exactly what I meant.
Because you worked around the missing word. To work around something means to just find a different path.
Right. I didn't stop talking. I just described it.
Exactly. If you forget a word, you describe what it does or its shape or its color.
It requires you to be a bit flexible in your mind. You have to stop looking for the exact dictionary translation.
Right, and just look for a simple description. Like the notes give the example of an umbrella.
Oh, right. If you forget the word umbrella, you just say the thing for the rain.
And saying the thing for the rain achieves 80% communication flawlessly.
The other person hears that, and they usually just give you the correct word, right?
Yeah. Yes. They'll usually say, oh, you mean an umbrella? And the conversation just flows naturally.
We also communicate so much without using words at all. The notes talk about body language being a huge survival tool.
Absolutely. Using your hands to show the size of something or just pointing at things.
It bridges the gap when your vocabulary fails you.
And there is one specific facial expression the text highlights as the most important tool of all.
A simple, friendly smile.
Yes, a smile does so much heavy lifting in a difficult conversation.
Because communication isn't just exchanging cold data like robots. It's a human experience.
Right. A smile signals that you are open, you're friendly, and you are trying your best.
And when you smile, you kind of disarm the other person. You make them feel comfortable too.
They naturally become more patient with you. They want to join your team and help you find the missing words.
And relaxing into that 80% zone is what allows that smile to happen naturally. Instead of having that tight, stressed face from the perfect trap.
Exactly. So we have covered the mindset shift, and we have our survival tools. Now it's time to put this into practice.
Yes, the source material includes a very specific action plan for you, the listener, to try out this week.
Because knowledge is only useful if you actually use it.
Right, so the first step is to find one person to talk to in English this week.
It could be a teacher, or a friend who speaks English, or even an AI voice assistant on your phone.
Just getting into a live conversation breaks that habit of being silent. But there is a twist in this challenge.
A very surprising twist.
The sources say you must make 3 mistakes on purpose.
Intentionally, you have to plan to mess up.
You have to purposely use the wrong word or the wrong grammar. I have to say, that sounds completely counterproductive.
It sounds wild, doesn't it? It goes against everything we're taught to do.
Yeah, we spend all our energy trying to correct mistakes. We use apps and books just to avoid looking incorrect. Why would we plan a mistake?
It is actually a deliberate psychological strategy.
How does that work?
Well, think about where the perfect trap gets its power. It gets its power from the fear of the unknown.
Okay. You build up this fear in your head that making a mistake is going to be a complete disaster.
Right. You imagine they will laugh at you or just walk away. But making a mistake on purpose puts you in control of that fear.
Oh, I see. So if I intentionally say, yesterday I go to shop, I am totally in control.
Yes. You made the choice. And then you can just watch their reaction.
And what you see is reality. You see that the conversation simply continues.
Exactly. The world does not end. The person replies to your story. They might ask, oh, what did you buy at the shop?
Wow. So you prove to your own brain that mistakes are not dangerous.
Yes. When you see it with your own eyes, the 80% rule becomes real. You experience firsthand that they care about your message, not your grammar.
Facing a fear like that in a controlled way is a proven psychological tool.
It really is. Once you realize the mistake doesn't hurt you, the fear just loses its control over your mind.
You build this immense confidence, you can finally just relax and share your thoughts.
That is a profound shift in perspective. The heavy pressure is finally removed.
We have really covered a lot of ground today on how to approach speaking English.
We have. Let's do a quick review of the core ideas we discussed.
Okay, first, the perfect trap causes a literal brain freeze. Your working memory just cannot handle grammar rules, translation, and fear all at the exact same time.
Right, so aiming for 80% is the true measure of success, because real listeners prioritize your meaning, not your form.
We also talked about survival tools, using simple phrases, the workaround technique like my small house for money, and a friendly smile.
Those keep the dialogue alive when the vocabulary escapes you. And finally, intentionally making mistakes breaks the fear of speaking.
There's a really sharp quote from the notes that captures this perfectly. It says, perfect English often keeps you silent, but good enough English gets you friends, jobs, and travel experiences.
That is so true. Good enough is the key that opens doors. Perfectionism is just a lock that keeps you isolated.
We really encourage you to go out and be 80% awesome today. Take the challenge, find a conversation.
And reflect on a mistake you make today that does not stop the conversation. Because if you pay attention, you will notice it happens all the time.
Before we go, we want to leave you with a final thought to explore on your own. It builds on how spoken language actually works.
Think about native speakers for a second. In their own native language, people constantly stutter.
They really do. They use the wrong words all the time.
Yeah, they start a sentence, lose their train of thought, stop, and just start over.
Even in our native languages, our daily speech is so far from perfect. We forget words every single day.
And native speakers do this without feeling any embarrassment. They just correct themselves and keep talking.
So here's the question for you. If native speakers do not demand 100% perfection from themselves in their own language, why should you demand it from yourself in a second language?
The perfect word is an illusion. It does not even exist for the native speaker.
You no longer need to stand in silence waiting for it to appear. Just use your tools, keep the conversation moving, and aim for 80%.
Thank you so much for joining this deep dive.
Yes, thank you. We commend you for working hard to improve your daily communication. Keep speaking, keep practicing, and we will talk to you next time. Goodbye.